How do practical shooters shoot so fast? Do they even see their sights? How are they shooting and hitting these targets so quickly? It seems way beyond what I'm used to doing at the range. Hi, I'm Joel from Practical Shooting Explained. Today I want to talk about a question I get asked fairly often, and that is, how do practical shooters shoot so fast? Do they even see their sights? How are they shooting and hitting these targets so quickly? It seems way beyond what I'm used to doing at the range. So I want to talk about a few key skills and techniques that kind of separate, I suppose, uh, what maybe conventional marksmanship is, the way a lot of people were trained, where equal height, equal line on the front sight, kind of like a bullseye type of shooting, compared to the faster shooting we do in practical shooting. So the first skill I want to talk about is the grip. The grip, obviously the gun's going to be recoiling and got to hang on to it. That's pretty much everybody does it the same thing. Maybe everybody's hands are positioned a little bit differently. But I think the interesting part is the amount of tension that we use on the gun in practical shooting. So conventionally, obviously the gun's going off. You don't want it to flip. A lot of people, have been taught, hold on to both hands on the gun as hard as you possibly can. Really lock on the gun and make sure it doesn't kick. Well, that's good for reducing recoil. The problem with that is when you're using your firing hand on the gun, you're making a fist hard, because again, you've got both hands really clamped down. You're not able to work your trigger finger as quickly on the trigger as you would if your hand just relaxed. So sometimes what happens is you can't really truly shoot fast, because again, even now, if you make a fist and I try to work my trigger finger quickly, or if I just relax my hand a little bit and I hold the gun firmly, but not where I'm really trying to crush it, I can work my trigger finger much quicker, allowing me to shoot very quickly, and it makes it easier to press the trigger straight back. So the grip a lot of people use in practical shooting is where they hold their firing hand on the gun. So the way I think of that is just hold the gun, where I'm not really putting everything I possibly have into it. The gun's not going anywhere, but I'm not gripping it as hard as I possibly can. And then my support hand, I am doing that part where I crush the gun. I'm holding it as hard as I can with my support hand. So separating the tension of just holding the gun and then crushing the gun, and being able to do those two together make a big difference. And as you'll see sometimes in practical shooting, somebody's just pulling the trigger. It looks like literally as fast as they can. You notice the sight's not really moving. It's bouncing around a little bit, but the gun doesn't look like it's recoiling that much. And that's because of having a strong grip holds the gun on the target so well that you can just press the trigger straight back twice, and the sights are, basically going to return to where they were. So you can shoot very, very quickly and very accurately that way. The next skill I want to talk about is aiming. And for aiming and vision, you kind of have to round corners a little bit to shoot quickly. So I know most people, like when I was taught to shoot, you align the front sight with the rear sight. A lot of places would teach the front sight's really clear, in focus, really sharp. So I'm kind of looking at the target, I look at the front sight, look at the rear sight, and I'm kind of comparing the three. The front sight's really sharp, and then I break the shot. For practical shooting, sometimes that's just too slow. If I was shooting a really far shot, and it's really a tight shot, and I really want to hit a small piece of steel, and I really need to be careful and hit that, I'll go back to that aiming method where the front sight's in focus and I'm pressing the trigger very carefully. But for some of the closer, faster shooting, say sometimes the targets are maybe out to 7 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, fairly close distances, bringing the gun up to eye level and then finding the target, bringing your vision back to the front sight and really focusing on it until it's sharp is just too slow. So the skill a lot of people use in practical shooting is they shoot with the front sight being a little bit blurry. The method for doing this is I bring my eyes to the target. Then when the gun gets there, the front sight's a little bit blurry, the rear sight's a little bit blurry. The target's pretty sharp and in focus. We call that target focus shooting. But notice the front sight is blurry, but I can still tell where it is in relationship to the target. And at those close distances, as long as you are able to, you can kind of tell where it's at on the target. Yep, it's pretty much centered up. It's close enough. You have that good grip we were just talking about. You press the trigger twice, the shots are pretty much going to go in the center of the target. So that's a big time savings compared to always lining up the sights perfectly, always pressing the trigger very carefully. So that's an important place for practical shooting, a lot of different aiming schemes that we do to cut corners to make things quicker. So again, maybe the front sight's really sharp and in focus for a difficult shot, maybe for an easier shot. I'm looking at the target, I bring the front sight up, it's a little bit blurry, but I can tell where it's at centered and I just start shooting. And then for all the intermediate distances, that kind of just depends on your skill level and kind of experimenting as to what you like to do for vision. The last skill I want to talk about is called target transitions. Target transitions are the process of you get done shooting one target and you're going to go to the next target, and the process for moving the gun between the two. It sounds pretty simple where you think, man, I just bring up the gun, I'll shoot that one. You bring the gun to the next target and you shoot that one. But there's a lot that goes into it to be very accurate and be very precise and be very quick. So the main difference, I think, compared to conventional wisdom is what your eyes do compared to the sights. So what I do is when I'm shooting a target, my eyes are looking at the target, I watch the sights. When I'm done shooting that target, immediately, as soon as I'm done firing my last shot, my eyes go to where the next target is and I look at it. I pick out a very precise spot, but my gun's still pointed at the target I was still finishing. This is happening very, very quickly, as fast as I can get my eyes there. My eyes, so I'm finished shooting that target, my eyes locate the next target, and then where my eyes look, my gun is just gonna follow and it's gonna show up precisely where I'm looking. That's a skill that takes obviously a while to train, but it can save you large amounts of time and you get that precision, because if my eyes pick out a very precise spot, I train myself to bring the gun exactly to where I'm looking, then I can just start shooting immediately. So again, the difference in bringing your eyes, my eyes going first, then my sights following, is kind of a concept that maybe is new to some people. The easiest way to illustrate the other method is where sometimes people would shoot a target and they would kind of just watch the front sight as it moves to the other target. That's actually going to be slower, and a way to think about it is, imagine if you're using a hunting rifle or a scoped rifle, you've got it shouldered, you're looking through the scope, you shoot a target, and then you're inside the scope and you're moving it over trying to find the next target. The easier way normally to do that for most people would be, after you're done shooting that target, you bring the rifle down maybe, or head out of the scope a little bit, you locate where the next target's gonna be, and then you bring the rifle over to that next target and you look through your scope again. This is actually the same idea, only with handgun sights. So I'm looking through the sights as I'm shooting a target. Once I'm done with that, my eyes go to the next target, and then my sights follow. So it's gonna show up right where I'm looking. And then once those sights get there, you can start shooting immediately. Hopefully this video was helpful and answered some of the questions you've been having. If you have any other questions that we haven't answered yet, please drop them below in the comments and we'll make a future video out of them. Thanks for watching.